Joining me now, Republican strategist Brian Darling, a former senior communications director for Senator Rand Paul, and Democratic strategist Don Calloway. Hey guys, good to see you both on this Saturday morning. Don, I want to start with you here because the question has to be asked, is there room for compromise from the Democrats' perspective? Or do they now hold some sort of leverage, and will the president have to be first to blink?
Well, in a big picture, of course, there's room for compromise. We just saw the passage of the bipartisan criminal justice reform bill. But when it comes to the wall, absolutely not. January 3rd, Nancy Pelosi takes over and is an absolute non-starter in terms of funding from the House. And in this last week we have remaining in 2018, I just don't see it happen. Democrats are absolutely not going to allow the 60-vote threshold, which would allow us to get to a vote on funding the wall. It's not going to happen. The president knew it wasn't going to happen. And this spin in saying it's the Democrat shutdown is just simply not the realm of thinking adults. So, Senator Mazie Hirono said what this idea is. It's absolute nonsense.
So I'm going to get to you in a second, Brian, on this, but you're basically saying that if there's room for compromise, it only exists in the next 10 days before January 3rd. However, right, everybody's out of town. I mean, how could it even get done? So essentially, it's not going to happen? No compromise?
What would have to happen is what the Republican majority has done before, which is suspend the rules which require a 60-vote majority to get to voting on the funding. Yeah, and Mitch McConnell has done that before.
But he said
he's not going to do it. So the idea that Democrats own this when Democrats do not hold any of the governing gavels here or the presidency, it just makes no sense. Let's be very clear about this. Mitch McConnell doesn't have the Republican votes for that wall, and he knows that, which is why it's not happening at all.
Okay, so to that end, Brian, what Don was just saying there, doesn't the president own this shutdown? And here's why. Let's all take a listen to this.
I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck. I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border security.
But we believe you.
I mean, Brian, didn't the president paint himself into a corner there? Because Democrats would never budge. They can easily just blame the president for a shutdown by replaying this loop over and over again.
That's right. President Trump may not blame the Democrats for shutting down the government, but I will. I mean, look at what Senator Schumer said. He said that there will be no wall funding. And obviously, the fight over the wall has become a proxy fight in 2020. Democrats don't want to give the president any victories.
Wait a minute, Brian. The question I asked you was, isn't the president responsible for this? I just played that tape. It doesn't get any more proof than that.
The president has taken credit and said, I will shut the government down over border security, over building the wall. But the Democrats have also said that they will not give it to him. So when you have a 60-vote threshold in the Senate to shut down debate, then Democrats do have power to shut down the government. I mean, this is obviously a fight where both sides can take some blame or credit, depending how you look at it. So I don't think that it's fair to say that the president gets all the credit for the shutdown or the Democrats get all the credit or the blame. I think both sides get some of the blame. And this is all about the wall and a proxy fight over 2020.
Republicans don't have to put this up as part of the agenda. So, of course, they are the ones proffering and offering the border wall as the main linchpin here. So it's not on Democrats. Democrats don't write the agenda nor control either of the levers of government. It just doesn't make sense.
Look, Brian, is this not all about politics ultimately? Because if the president did not get any border wall funding, or at least fight hard for it, how damaging would that be for him politically? I mean, you've got the Rush Limbaughs and the Ann Coulters of the world. They are essentially shaming the president into changing his mind. You remember Coulter? I mean, look at that headline right there. She called him gutless if he can't build the wall. He cannot want to hear that.
No, obviously not. But look at what the Democrats are saying. They're saying we're not going to give him an inch. We're not going to give him his wall. We're not going to give him anything. They're not putting DACA on the table as a way to negotiate over getting some more border security for a solution on the DACA issue. So the Democrats are just as intransigent as Republicans have been in this issue. And it's a war of wills. It's a stare down. Somebody's going to have to blink for this to get done.
Is there anything, Don, that suggests a reason that Democrats could say, we're going to try to be the bigger player, at least morally speaking. Right. We're going to try to find some compromise in all this. We're going to leave the GOP and the president looking small in the wake of our actions.
Right.
Any way to do that?
No, not when it comes to the wall. You said the right word, moral. We Democrats have a moral imperative to not build the wall. We find it racist. We find a waste of money. We find it not to be in the interest of national security or any other larger overarching national interest. It's ironic that we shut down the Department of Homeland Security in the interest of building this wall, which frankly will not do a whole lot to secure our southern border. And frankly, if we're talking about national security, if we're talking about curbing illegal immigration, we're not talking about people who are overstaying visas from Europe or Asia. The southern border wall is a racist proxy for Trump's racist immigration policies.
Democrats
wait 1 second, and I'm not done. But that is the fundamental idea. No, there's no room for compromise on a wall, and this president's not going to get it.
But
Okay,
that's
Brian.
simply not true. Democrats have already compromised a little bit. They're willing to give him $1.3 billion, just not $5 billion. So Democrats are already saying we will give you some money for the wall, just not as much as you want.
So why doesn't the president take that? Why doesn't he take that? I asked the question about the morality here. I mean, the timing, Christmas. Really, Mr. Grinch? I mean, come on. The reality is, think about that. If he says, well, at least it's a start, why does he not do that? Is it just because of the Rush Limbaughs and Ann Coulters who are calling him out, Brian?
I think the president was spoiling for a fight. I think he really wanted to have this fight and dig in and fight with Democrats. Democrats, some of them want the fight, too. I mean, you can say that the Ann Coulters of the world are controlling the Republican Party, but the Democrats are controlled by many far left-wing interests, the Democratic Socialists, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes, who are bringing the party further
She hasn't
to the left.
hit Congress yet.
Is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, does she hold office yet? Does
Yeah,
she have a
she's
gathering?
clearly a leader of the Democratic Party.
No, she's not.
She's
That's
clearly
nonsense.
a
What
leader.
committee
She's
is she?
outspoken
What
is
committee
what
is
she
she
is. She's not a
chairman of?
leader yet,
She's
Brian.
outspoken. She doesn't hold office. She currently doesn't have a job, as a matter of fact. What committee does she
media
chair?
is putting her out there as a leader. She's on all the time talking about Medicare for all and increasing the minimum wage and all these issues that Democrats love to talk about. Yes, Medicare for all is a problem.
All right,
because it's
I
socialism.
don't have time for that conversation right now. How's this all play out, Don? How do you see this playing out real quick?
The wall will not be funded. We will transition the House leadership in January, and then we'll go to another CR, which will probably allow for an 18-month or 2-year funding that does not include wall funding.
So you think partial shutdown stays through January 3rd? How about you, Brian? How do you see this playing out?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, the Republicans in the Senate have set up a scenario where they could negotiate and get this done possibly as early as the next few days. But I do see this playing out till after Christmas. But I bet they cut a deal before the Democrats in the House get sworn in to take over the House.
What kind of deal?
And
What
we have
kind
a
of
whole
deal?
new Congress.
You think something closer to the 1.6 billion?
Sure. It'll be somewhere in the middle. It'll be between $5 and $1 billion for the wall funding. They'll come to some sort of an agreement, and everybody will be able to go home and at least enjoy New Year's.
Well, we'll see. Brian Darling, Don Calloway. All right, guys, thank you so much, and happy holidays
Alex.
to both of you.
Happy holidays.
The arrest
Thank you.
made in the airport.